Well, let me just start out by saying that was one of the worst football games I've ever been a part of in my 30 years in the National Football League as a player and a coach. It's not acceptable, and it's not indicative of the men in the locker room. I watched closely. Not one guy on that field quit. This team will regroup. They will battle, and we will bounce back. And we will make sure – I know I would personally make sure that would never happen again, because that was unacceptable and embarrassing. And I'll do the best I can to answer your questions, but I'm telling you right now I don't have a lot to say.
Popper.
Hey, Anthony, the game was obviously well out of hand there in the fourth quarter, but you kept Justin in the game. Why did you decide to keep Justin in there for the entire fourth quarter?
He's a young quarterback, and he wanted to be in the game with his teammates. They wanted to go down the field and get on the scoreboard. But more than that is you got to learn to play through those rough patches. And you're going to have some rough patches throughout a season. And I don't want to pull him out when things are getting bad. I want him to be able to play through it and turn things around. And that was the main reason. But, yeah, the thought did cross my mind, but I left him in.
You said repeatedly that you want Justin to be, your quarterback for decades. He was running for his life back there, taking shots.
You're going to have some games like that. He was running for his life in Miami, taking some shots, but you're going to have some games like that.
But you didn't want to protect him there at the end of the game to avoid an injury?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I wanted to protect him, but I left him in.
And then just as far as the special teams, obviously, I mean, there's
unacceptable. Special teams, unacceptable, period.
But I wanted to ask specifically, there's 3 punt returns where you guys had the wrong number of guys on the field. You had 12 for one play.
Like I said, it was unacceptable. Special teams was the whole operation. Okay. I made a change in special teams. I got a lot of guys doing different things. Today got confusion on the field. It was unacceptable.
So when you say unacceptable, are you talking about the players? Or are you talking about the coaching staff?
Coaching. It was unacceptable. Okay. Coaches are responsible for that.
And then to start the game, you went with Storm Norton at left tackle over Trey Pipkins. What went into that decision?
Storm had a really good training camp. And he had a couple plays in the Saints game. He did a good job. He's been practicing well. I wanted to see Storm play. So I put Storm in instead of Trey. I've had a good look at Trey. So I wanted to get a good look at Storm.
What does that decision indicate about where Trey Pipkins is in his development?
Trey is developing fine. I mean, he's going into his second year. He's a young kid. He came in really raw. He has some really nice physical skills to work with. I do believe he's going to develop into a starting tackle in the National Football League. It just might not be today.
Thank you.
Cam Buford.
Hey, Coach, just try to make this brief, but I got a few questions. You mentioned about giving your guys a shot. Leaving Herbert in there late in the game is kind of what you spoke about. But my question is more so at the end of the first half, instead of you're down 21-0, instead of kicking that field goal, why don't you throw the ball up to – did he cross your mind, I should say, to throw the ball up to Williams and try to make a play there, Herbert make a play?
No, not really. We was doing all we could with no timeouts left to move the ball down the field to get in field goal range. If we can get some points before the half and then we come out and we have the ball, we feel like that could have gave us a little momentum going into the locker room. So that was the plan.
Okay. And with the special teams, Coach, I know you made the change a couple of weeks ago. I think you said, if I remember correctly, you said this week that you were kind of taking more responsibility for it all. So if that meant let 3 coaches there, might that be too many voices for the players in special team situation? Causing this confusion here?
Right now, right now, this is what we have to work with. Okay, I'm helping out because they need help there. Okay, when you let one guy go, someone else has to step in, helping out a little bit just in practice, just in drills and things like that. But the operation today was just it was not good. It was unacceptable.
And you, Coach, you've already stated that this might be one of the worst performances you've seen in your 35 years of playing. But when you going up against a fundamentally sound coach and team like the Patriots and Bill Belichick, why do you think the players were kind of lackluster starting the game out?
I don't think there was any lackluster. I do think those 14 points that we gave up on special teams did not help our momentum. But offensively, we were a little out of sync last week. We've got to find our rhythm. We got to get back in tune offensively, because I saw this a little bit last week, and we did not turn it around this week.
Thank you, Coach.
Sure.
Dennis Freeman.
Coach Lynn, how would you describe the week of practice you had before the game?
I thought the week of practice was fine. I mean, I thought under the circumstances with all the Zoom meetings and no in-person meetings and all that, I thought the guys handled that really well. So I had no problem with how the week of practice went.
On the opening drive by the Patriots, they took 7 minutes off the clock, or 10 minutes off the clock. How much was that a tone setter in regards to what they were trying to do for the game?
Well, that's something that we were trying to stop because we knew they was going to try to hog the clock and run the football and shorten that game as much as they could. And the first half, that's exactly what they did.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Sure.
Gilbert.
Hey, Anthony, after a game like that where you were shut out 45-0, what do you tell your players before games to go? How do you kind of get this right for the final stretch?
We signed up to play 16 games, Gilbert, and that's what we expect to do.
And Anthony, have you had any recent conversations with Dean Spanos or John Spanos about your job status?
I talk to Dean all the time. That is out of my control, my job status, but I talk to Dean all the time.
And I guess, how is he feeling? Is he frustrated with the losses?
He's frustrated as hell, just like I am right now. He's very frustrated. You know, when I came here, we felt like the first couple of years we was getting this thing going in the right direction, and the last couple of years it just hadn't been that way. So it's my job to get this back on the right track, and if I'm here, I will.
And do you feel like you have your insurances yet to finish the season, the final four games?
That is out of my control. I don't make that decision.
And one more, Anthony, you made the change at special teams coordinator with George Stewart to kind of, improve things. Why do you think it did not work when you moved Coach Stewart to a different role?
Well, I moved him to a different role because I feel like we need to make a change at that position. I didn't like the results that we were getting. I thought last week we did some things a lot better there, but this week it was just not good enough, Gilbert. I can't say that enough.
Thank you, Anthony.
Fernando.
Anthony, what did you tell your players after the game, after this loss today?
It was disappointing. I'm not going to go into every detail what I told those guys in the locker room, but I was disappointed. But I was more so disappointed in myself than them because I'm in charge.
Thank you, Anthony.
Last two for you, Coach. Jeff Miller.
What did you think of just the way Herbert played? That was clearly the toughest game he's had.
He did some good things in that game. When I watched the tape tonight and in the morning, there would be some good things he did, but obviously, we didn't put any points on the board, so it wasn't good enough. I know our third down of the last couple of weeks, for whatever reason, we're not efficient enough. So we have some things to work on and get fixed, but that young man right there, the way he works and with his football IQ, I have no problem that he will help turn this situation around.
And Anthony, I just have to be blunt here. I mean, do you expect to be the coach of this team tomorrow?
Yeah, I expect to be the coach of this team tomorrow.
Thank you.
Last one, Emmanuel.
Coach, when you watch that special teams film, how are you going to evaluate that? What are you going to look at? How they played, and then how do you feel Kenneth Murray played?
I couldn't understand a word that was said.
When you watch that special teams tape tonight, what are you going to look for? How are you going to evaluate it?
When I watched the special teams tape, we'll make corrections like everywhere else, but it was more so the operation.
All right. Thanks, Coach.